Right, everybody. Hello, welcome back. Welcome back. So it's my great privilege and delight to now invite us to move into a continuation of our journey, but also a shift in kind of focus and feel as we welcome Mhari and Charlotte to share with us all sorts of reflections and realities. So it's a delight to have you with us. And I know you're going to start this off as a bit of a conversation piece.
Thank you very much, Neil. I feel like this is a bit of a chat show scenario. A bit about you. My name's Charlotte Overton-Hart. I work with Livability. I'm the dementia lead for the organisation, and I'm delighted to be here in conversation with Mhari. I wonder if you can introduce yourself.
My name's Mahri McLintock, and I'm a minister. I'm in a minister, closer to the mouth, okay. And my role in this synod is trying to make churches dementia inclusive. And I work alongside all the people in the West Midlands to assist what can be done in different places, how people can engage with being dementia inclusive, which is what my role is. But I also I'm living with dementia. I have dementia.
Okay, so now Mhari, you have multiple microphones, and I don't have any, but can everyone hear me okay? Okay, smashing. We know already that if you can't hear us, you do pipe up, so we really value that feedback. I wonder if we do a kind of back and forth act. Fantastic. So, Mhari, I've actually had to make a note of your job title because it's quite a mouthful. Synod Advocate for Dementia Inclusive Churches in the West Midlands. That's quite a mouthful. And Synod. And I wonder if you'd be happy to share how that role came about. Did it exist before you, or is it new to you?
I think it's new. It's new to me because it's not been done before. So it's new to everybody else in the synod. It's not been done before. How I've got the role is because, well, I've just got a very enlightened moderator who, when I had the diagnosis, asked me what I would like to do, how I could do anything in the synod. And I was given options about what would I like to do, because actually, which is very nice, he said that he thought I had plenty of things to give and support, and I had something to offer synods in the synod.
Nice and close.
Okay. So I had to go through the system, so to speak, also to refer to the clinician who I see, you know, what they felt about me and what I could do or how they might assist me to keep going. But in getting to that point though, I had to go through a system as about was I able to do anything. So I had to go to an occupational health assessment. And in that occupational health assessment, Sorry.
I think it's a bit sensitive if you hold it nice and close like this.
Okay, sorry. You've asked me that before.
Sorry.
And I haven't done it.
I just know they'll tell me if they can't hear you, so it's for my benefit. Are you happy for me to hold it?
Yeah, actually, that'll be
teamwork. Teamwork.
Everybody else will, relax after that. So I had to go through. Going through the assessment process to see what would happen, and at that point, the person who was doing the assessment as soon as he heard the word dementia, he said, "You can't do anything." I had, "You can't do anything, that's it." To which I said, "Actually, that's against the law. You have to speak to me about what I might be able to do and how that might then continue." Yeah, I'm glad to see that the United Reformed Church, sorry, this is, said they would never use that chap again. Sorry, is that really rude? Because they just didn't think it was up to the mark.
So, over to me for a moment.
Yep.
I said to Mhari a number of times before that her story and the sharing of her story is so encouraging. Sometimes, Mhari, you say to me, "Oh, should I share that bit? Should I share that bit?" And I said that even though some of the experiences that you've been through are less than positive, your willingness to share both the challenges as well as when people receive you with love and care and acknowledgement that you have gifts to bring, all of it's a learning point. So learning from perhaps not such great experiences, but also to encourage folk from the good experiences too. I'd love to share with people how we met, if you're happy for me to. So we met a few years ago at Greenbelt Festival, and this is our assistant Hugh. I don't know what he's about to do. That's us. It's one of those wonderful and slightly creepy photos that's live. Did you miss it? So, and I think Hugh's saying something in the background too. So this is a lovely live photo of me and Mhari at a dementia inclusive gardening group that I run in Brighton and Hove, where the approach seeks to engage people who are living with dementia and everyone, to encourage folk outdoors, to connect with the seasons and to enjoy quality time together. That's how Mhari and I met outdoors at Greenbelt Festival a few years ago, and Mhari and Hugh were running an event called Dementia and Donuts, and I think, of course, we'll tell us. So here's Mhari standing with more donuts than I can count. 460. You counted them. So Mhari, I'd love to hear more about donuts and dementia.
Donuts and dementia. Some of people perhaps will know Lucy Berry. Yeah. And Lucy Berry and I, excuse me. I've got it in my head, it's just not coming. Greenbelt, sorry, it just went. Yeah, so basically there was a thing at Greenbelt, when I say a thing, that was supposedly about dementia. Sorry, I'm saying supposedly, but it was about dementia. But the strap line that went with it was, but everybody's invited to the party, but the person who's coming to this party might not get there because they've got dementia, which I thought was appalling. So I said, I'm not having anything to do with that. It's rubbish. Basically, it's just not on. That's just, we can do better than that, is what. So Lucy Berry and I decided that we would make Donuts and Dementia a conversation. It was a conversation about what are people worried about people with dementia. And I know people, many people have said that might refer to perhaps somebody to as a they. They don't know what's what. And it doesn't matter if they don't know, because they'll forget anyway. And I didn't want us to be at the level of that. So it's got to be better than that. You know, I just didn't want to accept the fact that it felt like the crumbs. You know, we'll just give them the crumbs. And I don't think that's good enough. One slightly off piece here.
No, I think that was wonderful. You haven't described it to me in that way before, and I was just thinking, you don't really get crumbs with donuts, do you?
No.
It's more like a sugar dust. Yeah. I think you've really raised the bar.
But we had lots and lots of donuts.
So you were at Greenbelt to host Donuts and Dementia, and I was at Greenbelt in my livability capacity, and we met in the hot sun, and we couldn't stop talking, could we? And we've been in touch ever since. And as colleagues and collaborators, and I think also as friends. And between us, we have collaborated on a couple of resources that we've brought with us today that we would love to share with all of you. We have enough copies for everyone to take one copy each. I'll just show you these now. One is called My Faith Matters, and it's a practical toolkit and invitation to support people who are living with dementia, and indeed everybody, to capture the things that really matter in their life. When I worked in social care as a support worker for family carers and then as a care manager, what I found often was that people who didn't have a faith background in health and social care were really shy about asking about people's faith. They said, I don't want to offend anybody. And I understand that, but very often if we don't ask about someone's faith or spirituality, we leave out a massive portion of their life. So please do take that away. And in developing this guide, Hugh and Mhari came along to livability, and we had a day discussing and planning and mapping out what the resource would look like to engage and encourage people to capture what mattered to them, not because they were dying, but because they were still living. I have heard from some ministers they use it as a funeral tool, and that's not the intention. But I'm delighted it can be of use in other ways too. I wonder if you had any thoughts on that, or anything that you'd like to share at this point.
No, I'm okay at the moment.
Okay, at the moment. We have brought with us a tool which you may or may not have come across, a very simple postcard. And for those of you who can't see it, it says, I want to speak, please. There may be some of you today who would like to make contributions, but sometimes feel that things are moving a little too fast. So we have brought some extras if you would like one, or if you know someone you'd like to pass this on to. So Mhari, I'll slip this across to you now.
Thank you.
If at any point I'm chattering too much, just raise it. I'll know what to do. So the second resource that we'd love to share with you today, it's called Travelling Together. And the idea is that as church family, when a person's living with dementia, that we don't all, thanks very much, we don't all drop off to the sides. Very often when someone's living with dementia, they say that they were received differently at church, as if overnight they were a different person. Of course they weren't, but sometimes people don't know what to say, and so they end up not saying anything. We were delighted that Mhari agreed to write the introduction to this guide. The most important thing is to keep walking alongside a person who's living with dementia and their families and support networks as that person journeys with dementia. I've got a full shopping list of your roles, Mhari. You have many hats indeed. Another of your roles is you are the co-chair of Dementia Inclusive Coventry, We've already seen a few photos of Coventry this morning. Who'd have thought it? I wonder if you'd like to share with us a bit more about that role, being the co-chair of Dementia Inclusive Coventry.
Okay. The role really is that bringing people together, and different organisations have an input into this, and working out how we can make Coventry a dementia inclusive place, and a place that's open. And part of that is we're looking at things to do with how we manage to help people getting out and about in order to keep going. Interacting with other groups and finding out what they're doing, seeing, we're not duplicating too many things, so that we're getting a breadth of things that could take place, whether it's being involved in an allotment or something, another, as another option that might enable people to keep going, really, and to give breaks for their loved ones, so that people can get a bit of space. And then we just share what's happening, what works, or what's excited somebody. And if we do something with the Alzheimer's Society, we make sure that everybody's got the information that they need to have. And signpost. There's an awful lot of talking going on, and a lot of finding out going on that takes place. But it helps. And people tell us that it helps. They're glad that they can either come to an event or find out more just by having contact with what's going on in the city.
Thank you very much indeed. I'd be really interested to know who in the room is local to Cambridge. Can we get a show of hands if you're local to Cambridge? Also, plenty of folk that are local, but also some people who aren't local to Cambridge, and so much differs around the country from place to place, and very often groups start and people go along, and then funding maybe finishes, and so being part of Dementia Inclusive Coventry, I would really encourage people to find out what's local to you. There may be a DAA or a Dementia Action Alliance. At the back of Travelling Together, we have a list of national resources. Very often the national port of call will be able to point you in the direction of local resources, and it may be faith-based, or as Mhari says, it may not be faith-based at all, but the goal is to support people to live as well as possible for as long as possible, and to say that your best days are not behind you just because you're living with dementia. Another role that I'm keen to tell people about, something that you're a part of, is you are a dementia diarist. You are a contributor to Dementia Diaries. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that from you.
Okay.
You're fine.
Has anyone heard about Dementia Diaries? Well, you have now. Part of a group, actually. Well, it's a movement. We call ourselves a movement, and people with dementia basically put in a diary, and all around the world, actually, people read these diaries and find out about what it's like living with dementia. Organisations like, Universities, thank you, sorry. Universities are using it, are encouraging people to find out about this, because university students are coming and finding out more from the students with dementia.
And so what we're going to do now, we did plan and prepare this, but it's happening live, so we will see what happens. Right now we are going to make a call to Dementia Diaries so you can see exactly how it works. So,
hey Siri, call Dementia Diaries.
Calling Dementia Diaries.
Calling Dementia Diaries.
Yeah. Okay. Now.
Hang on.
So we're just dialing through.
Oh, things.
Dementia
Hello,
Diaries.
thank you for calling Dementia Diaries. Please keep your message to under 2 minutes if you can. You may start your recording now.
Hello, it's the Happy Tandemer here. I am currently in Cambridge with lots and lots of lovely Cambridge people and others, of course. We're here because we're talking about dementia. We're in this lovely, lovely area. Can't remember what we're called. That's it, yay! And people seem to be, the locals seem to be friendly. So far. Be very kind. So I'm really delighted to be here and talking about Dementia Diaries, because it's a network of people with dementia who basically say what's happening in their life. And as a result of this, yeah, there's lots and lots of people being tuning in all over the place. But it's a different alternative, really. And one of the things that when people have come to find out about the diaries, people also find out usually an organisation called DEEP. And we're part of DEEP, you and I are part of DEEP. It's a brilliant organisation, so I would head that up. If there is a DEEP group near you, please go and join in.
Sign me off, Happy Tandemer.
Sign me off. What? Sorry. Stopping now from the Happy Tandemer from Cambridge. Over and out.
We're on the internet.
If that's a good thing.
It's a great thing. So I don't know about any of you, but mostly when people hear the word dementia, they think of lack and loss and deficit, and I don't know, but just looking around, you're all smiling. It's so wonderful to see, and so I'm delighted that went without a hitch, Mahri. It was amazing. So, Mhari, you mentioned an organisation called DEEP. So DEEP stands for, and Hugh's my friend who will tell me if I get it wrong, Dementia Engagement and Empowerment Project. I got it. And it's another of the organisations that is mentioned at the back of this resource. So yes, please do make a note, but it's also here for you to take away. And exactly as Mhari says, it's a network of folk who are living. Oh, it's the UK network of dementia voices. That's how I like to describe it. Anyway, so. And I would love to hear a bit more about what being part of DEEP involves.
Ooh. It involves people living with dementia, their loved ones, or just people that haven't got any loved ones, on their own. And it's a network of people that get together, that we do research. We've done an awful lot of research for lots of different places, and that's ongoing. But also just small groups can get together and get together, have cups of coffee, do whatever. It's a network. It's just a network of making sure that people have options, so that either carers can get a bit of a break, and people with dementia can, also get a bit of a break should you get really bored with them. Because I'm sure that happens. I maybe shouldn't have said that.
You say what
No offence to
you say. But I think, Mhari, you've touched upon something that's incredibly important. In any healthy relationship, people who love and care for one another need a break from one another, irrespective of dementia. And I think what's very often considered when a person's living with dementia is that those same rules needn't apply. We need people that we love anyway, with no offence at all. So, and presumably that continues?
Oh, yes, I hope so.
Amazing. Right. You have so many hats, Mhari. I'm just considering all the different hats. There's another one too. You might have heard Mhari refer to herself as Happy Tandemer. At the beginning of the Dementia Diary, she said, "Happy Tandemer here." What's all that about?
That's basically that with Dementia Diaries, that's my, what do you call it? Is that handle? A handle. I handle. And basically that's with the diaries. We'll put things on it just to say, actually, this is a good day, or this is actually really a hard day, or people share things over the internet. And say, but this might be helpful for you. I know that there's many people that have come to Deep because they've found out about, they've heard from another person that with somebody with dementia that this is an organisation that will help and support and encourage people to get involved.
And specifically about the tandem.
Oh yes, sorry. The tandem's pretty crucial. The nature of my dementia is I've got posterior cortex atrophy, which is it's different from others, and so I can't. In terms of seeing things, my sight's rubbish, and I bang into things a lot. But so I could no longer, I couldn't, what do you call it? Ride a bike anymore. It was really difficult. So now, but I go in a tandem. I've got a friend that takes me out in a tandem. So we go out in the highways and byways. And people get out the way, which is very nice. They have to get round us.
I know, I've heard that you even cycle in the dark.
Well, we cycle all over, yes.
So watch out, everyone.
Yeah.
How wonderful. And again, I think another beautiful example of something that one might not expect. And I think you're a beautiful example of someone who's doing as much as they can to live as well as they can with dementia. And so the official title for that tandem project is the Visually Impaired and Sighted Tandem Association. I think Happy Tandemer sounds more informal. It's tremendous. You're also, I know you're not able to speak about some of it because it is in fact top secret. But you are a contributor and a participant in some research. I'd love to hear a bit more about that as far as you feel able to share.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm breathing in deeply because it was a bit... It took me a long time to get over some of the things that I did as part of the research. It was called a Balance Project, and it was working with people from UCL. And it was it was just incredible for me. It was just something I'd never encountered. I was turned upside down, back to front. I was swinging and goodness knows what. And
yeah, these aren't metaphors.
Yeah, so it was full on and more. But it's interesting. But I was glad to do it and had the opportunity to do it because the things, there's a lot of people seeing difficulty that I have with dementia, and people want to give something back and to make things so that you can enable other people maybe to get farther down with whatever difficulties they're coping with. Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Absolutely. And I think that a lot of people, if they're living with dementia, dementia, or they consider what it might be to live with dementia, there can be a sense of powerlessness. There isn't a clear or any cure at the moment, and I think there can be a mistake, certainly by the media, in particular by the tabloids, to chase for a thing that might not be particularly possible, at least in the near future. So then people can develop a sense of apathy or indifference. Well, what can we do anyway? But contributing to research, which, by the way, it's possible to contribute to whether or not a person is living with dementia. Research participants are welcomed, whoever they are and whatever age they are. And so I think also that's one of the references in the back of this guide. If that's something that you would like to get involved with, then do check that out. We've talked about some of the different things that you are a part of, different groups and networks and projects. A bit more generally, I wonder if you'd be happy to share some things that you find helpful, some general things that could be around the way people are with you or the language that folk use.
Yeah. It's a bit tricky. So one of the things, I suppose things that disturb me more than anything else is when people refer to somebody with dementia as they. And there's a lot of theys I hear in churches, and which saddens me really, because we're not theys, we're people. So I'd rather people didn't use that, the they being, because you don't know you've got dementia, so you don't know, and it's referred down to, and one of my going all over the place here, Charlotte, from what we've got. Language is a big thing, really. And I often wonder why, for example, there's a lady at church and she's lovely. She's a lovely, lovely person. But every time it's a call-in for copy time that I'll go on a particular day. And every time that I leave, she says, "Remember not to get lost." And I've not got lost. Do you know what I mean? But I'm just thinking, well, that's no good to man or beast or something like that. That's not helpful to anybody at any point. I'm thinking, oh my goodness me. But it's almost like if people can say anything to anybody that's got dementia, because it doesn't really matter. Or people, and there'll be times, for example, where sometimes I get the right, I'm sorry Hugh, I'm going to refer to you, I get the right answer and he's saying, no, and I'm saying, yeah, that was right, and he says, oh yeah, that's true. So it's not, it's what I was going to say, you don't always expect the person with dementia to get it always wrong. But people automatically assume that you can't do anything, or some people think that you shouldn't actually be involved in things, or you can't do that because you've got dementia. And that'll be the case in lots of different ways, but it's not the whole story really, I suppose.
Thank you very much indeed. Some powerful words there, some encouragements, and a great deal of humour too. So thank you indeed for bringing the humour that you do to what in so many ways. She's making me laugh. I'm catching that on camera. She's making me laugh. In what for many people is the most challenging and difficult chapter of their lives. If you potter along to our workshop later, we'll be exploring some contentious statements that are all based on things that people have said to us in workshops that we've run around the country.
and the invitation is to explore why they might be contentious and what our personal response might be in our church context and perhaps even in our personal context. A person living with dementia's best days are not behind them. For sure, a diagnosis gives folk the opportunity to put their affairs in order, but also to continue living in a way that a person would like to for as long as possible. Believe it or not, we're coming to the end of our chatting time together now, but if you are happy to, Valerie, to take a few questions or thoughts, comments or contributions from the floor. So I think Neil will be pottering about with the roving mic.
Yep. Can I first of all, though, just simply on behalf of us all say a tremendous thank you to you. So friends, we have about a quarter of an hour before we're going to break for lunch. So if you've got a question, I'll bring you the mic.
Oh, great, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a comment actually. I've been involved in a small Christian town here in Cambridge for the last 7 years. It's really hard to kind of bring the conversation to this level. And there was a programme on television recently with Vicky McClure, the Dementia Choir.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure some of you saw it. And in my humble personal experience, that brought the conversation out into the open more than anything else that I've seen. And people with dementia of all ages, and it was very normal and very humorous. And I think it was a huge encouragement to an awful lot of people, just as your conversation has been today.
I did research with the chap that, what's his name, Hugh? Seb Crouch. Seb Crouch. Did some of the research with him around that. That was very exciting.
And you're part of a choir.
Oh yes, we have a choir in our church because we decided that that's what we'd like to do in terms of what can we do for the church. Is it still there? Yeah, and we have, it's called Sing Your Heart Out, and it's every, Hugh, you'll have to remind me.
The third and fourth Tuesday of the month.
Yeah.
Easy to remember. Yeah, so you can build on that. What's yes and what's a yes and what's a no. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But that's been really, what's been really nice about that is it's become missional actually. There's people coming to the Sing Your Heart Out sessions, coming with their, either with their loved ones or just with a friend, and we've got loads of people. Some people have joined in with the church, coming to church now, and I just think this is brilliant. You know, people are coming for this because it's here, and we as a church can provide that.
It's missional because basically I like seeing my old man's a dustman.
My thank you, especially, I mean, a couple of things I wanted to say. One is, I'm taking away from this to concentrate on what's there rather than what's gone or what's been set aside. And I'm thinking about my own father in this respect. But my parents do not do technology. I mean, we bought my mum a mobile phone, she put it in a drawer. But I was particularly interested, you do your diary online. I was just wondering if there's any work done where people produce physical diaries, because one of the things my dad is, he'd be really happy at the end of the day, but he can't remember why.
Why? Yeah.
And I'd love to find a way of capturing for him.
Ah, yeah.
Thank you.
Because there's different places. There's, I'm trying to work out how to say it. Yeah, there's different ways of trying to capture. There's many people now are saying, for example, have you recorded your loved one? Yeah. You know, it's a growing thing. Yes. You know, so that the person who may not be able to
well, they might not be able to remember what's what at that particular time, but before the time, so that you've got a memory of their voice. Yeah, and that's it's a huge thing at the moment. You know, yeah, it was on the Radio 4. It's always everything to do with Radio 4. Got all my information from Radio 4. It seems, but it seems like it. But it's these sorts of things. It's like a reminder to do this now, while you can, and so that you can hold on to these things, and so that your loved ones can go back to it in time and all the rest of it. And these are some of these nicer things that, so that you can hold some of these memories. Yeah.
And I would just add to that the focus on capturing what matters, not because it's disintegrating, but because it's genuinely precious. And the same guiding principle applies whether or not a person's living with dementia. So with this guide, My Faith Matters, I say to people, never ask someone to fill it in if you haven't filled it in first yourself. And don't expect people to come up with pat answers and potted wisdom. And that's something I learned through experience. Once when my gran was very unwell, I went over with a clipboard and a pen. I said, "Gran, tell me all the wisdom you've got." And she said, "It doesn't work like that. It's like," and I said, "Okay, that's number one. What's number two?" And she was right, of course. And so the encouragement and the invitation within church families is to capture what matters right now, not because it's being lost, but because it's precious.
Now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hugh, were you going to add something to that?
No.
When you talk about diary, I thought you were referring to a movement as well. It was born, I think, in America, that it's a bit academic originally, but there is one person who sit with the person living with dementia and talk and sort of try to make them, remember the important things, the things they like, the songs, or where they went on holiday, and then they write it down, and then it's there, and it's done over several hours, so several sessions. So I thought it was that, but it's a bit different.
Yeah, it's different.
I don't know if it exists in England or not. I don't know.
Would you like to say something there? I've got a few.
Yeah, well, at the moment I've got a friend in that she's doing my life. We're doing it together. Yeah, there's a lot. There's again, that's all over the world, isn't it now? That being encouraged to do things and make sure that they're there for whoever's still there.
I think I would add to that as more people are living with dementia, there's a kind of dementia sector that's emerging, and there are a lot of products that are being developed to support people living with dementia, but then there are also products that aren't being developed in relation to dementia, but are being used by folk living with dementia, like Alexa, for example. We were talking last night about how to make a decent cup of tea. It's tricky maybe to see the hot water or to maybe lift the kettle. And sometimes a kind of retro hack, like a Teasmate, might be a good idea. Some younger folk in the room might not have encountered those. My grandparents had one. But I would also add to that there is no substitute to spending quality time with someone. So you can throw a lot of money towards products that are dementia-friendly or dementia-specific, but just being alongside someone, having a cup of tea with them, relationships develop at the speed of trust. So if you're spending good quality time with someone, it doesn't have to be 5 hours, it could be 20 minutes, but if someone knows that you're present with them, then there's no substitute to that, really. Keep on seeing the person.
And I think it's important that it's positive. It's positive. It's, as the gentleman said, it's what's there. It's not about what's missing or what's gone away or whatever. It's still there in a lot of cases, and it's gathering it. So,
A couple of quick questions. First of all, who is Hugh?
Oh.
I mean, I know what is his family. Yeah, I know that, but... And the second... Sorry?
Yeah, still, I'm in relationship with Mhari.
In relationship with? We're married. Maybe not for much longer, but this. What? You? I don't know what. I need to go to darkened rooms right now. Cheeky monkey.
And secondly, what did you do before you were on synod and so on?
Well, I was a minister. Well, I am a minister still. Yeah, yeah. But I'm yeah.
Do you want to say any more?
Yeah, I'm still a minister.
You still are a
I'm a lay preacher, but as I said earlier, my mum and my youngest sister died from dementia. What we did with both of them was write things down. When we arrived at my mum's, we used to write who was visiting, what the date was, what the year was, who was visiting, and then in brackets, daughter. And then I used to visit with my daughter, Ange, and I put Anne's, Emma, your granddaughter, Margie's daughter. And we wrote everything down that we'd done, and we knew about the family. And then we would take things in and say, Mum, do you remember this? And she'd say, oh yes, and we'd write it all down. And that was how we, and then when we weren't there, the other family members did, friends, we asked them all to do it. And when nobody was there, she would open this book and read through, and it would remind her about, she did have a previous life. She was a teacher. I took a letter in for her from a previous student who was sorry to hear she had dementia, and I put it in the book. And she'd read that, and it would remind her that she was a very effective teacher in her professional life. Now, in answer to your question, gentleman at the front there, that's what has worked for both my mum in particular, but my sister as well. Writing things down, reminding them of what they have done, all the positive things they've done. And that helped us because it helped them.
Good. Nice. I'd say, yay! I like that.
Hi, Chloe. It's just what you've been thinking. I've been thinking about, reflecting what you're saying. I don't suffer from dementia, but I suffer from dyslexia, and I've been thinking actually, perhaps I'm thinking of a new thesis to write dyslexia dementia, but when I'm struck by similar coping strategies, like the ladies just said, I write everything down and break things down into stages, and I was struck when you were saying about a cup of tea. I don't have that problem, but I do have to stop and think, like this stage, this stage, this stage, and I've learned my own coping methods, and I just wonder if, well, I just made this up, there just seems to be slight similarities between dyslexia and dementia in the ways that people cope with it. But that's just an observation, really.
Ooh. I think with any, with anything, there's always, with any challenge, there's, I think people, you end up creating your own ways to get how we do it. Well, this is how it helps me. It wasn't somebody else, but that's working for us now. So we'll stick with that for
I think I would add to that it depends on perspective or framing or the sets of lenses that we wear, because you could say, oh, of course, the thing that's similar is that you both can't do things, and you think, well, that's a bit gloomy. You could say, well, actually, yes, you both are creative. because you have to be, because there are challenges that you encounter that mean that you perhaps do need a sideways approach to something. There's a woman living with dementia called Wendy Mitchell.
Yes, no, Wendy.
Her book was recently on Radio 4.
I know Wendy, she's lovely.
They're pals. And she writes a blog called Which Me Am I Today? And she coined the term dementia hacks. And she seeks to outwit dementia as much as she can. She said that she couldn't remember what was in all her kitchen cupboards, so she took the cupboard doors off. Why not? It's her kitchen, they're her cupboard doors. So it's about finding creative approaches, and it's beyond the place where we might think, well, what will people think when I don't have cupboard fronts? It's not really
Does it
any of their
matter?
business.
Does it matter?
Because we can see she's got biscuits, and they're fine with that.
Well done, that was good. Yeah.
It's going back to, I'm very interested in your singing your heart out sessions, and you answered it really by you sing My Old Man's a Dustman. Is it held in your church? I thought, great, I wish I could come because I have to come. But is it in your church, in a church setting? Do you combine it in any way? Is it purely secular songs, or do you also combine hymns and prayer?
Yeah.
How does that? I'm very interested in how you set that up.
Well, it's teamwork. Sorry, teamwork on both things. So it is in a church, and we sing very contemporary things. It really made me laugh because the proms were on, which Hugh and I were listening to. And then My Man's a Dustman, they was part of the proms. And we thought, blimey, we're just right on the button. The things, we're doing the same as the proms. No, but it's great actually. And the lovely thing about the many things those people, that people help in churches. People think, we're doing that, for these poor people. No, I don't mean it in a nasty way, but we're doing this because actually, the people who come just come because they like to sing and they want to be involved or something. And it brings everybody smiles that we have good biscuits too. It is a church after all, so we've got to have good biscuits.
Nothing wrong with enjoying yourself at the church, is there?
Even better if you're even better if you're but we know that's happening all the time anyway. So
Friends, I think we need to draw to a close, but obviously there'll be plenty more opportunities.
We've got the other things to do.
We show our appreciation.